So welcome to Past, Present, Future, the Full Circle podcast. On this podcast, we will be speaking to artists, managers, label owners, stylists, really anyone involved within the UK music and rap industry. The aim is to give you a full circle overview on their life, their past, their present, and obviously their future. Past, Present, Future, Ep.10, which is baffling for me now. So it feels like we've only been going like a week, but we're here already. So another incredibly special guest and one that I'm excited for, as I always am. So if possible, bro, it'd be great for you to just like initially introduce yourself, and then I can kind of go into the crux of the conversation from there and get into it.
Cool. My name's Genesis Elijah. I'm a multi-genre artist and producer, songwriter. Been doing this for a little while, man. Yeah.
100%. So I normally start things by just asking about childhood, but I was thinking about today and I wanted to do things a little bit differently, and to understand from your perspective, what do you think is a quality that you are blessed with today, and where do you think that came from in your childhood?
I guess actually something that I don't really talk about a lot. It's not really brought up. It's nothing to do with me as an artist or a business person. Me as just a human. I think it's just that moral compass of like doing right, like always wanting to just do the right thing. As much as I can, obviously. Like I've done a whole heap of bad stuff, but for the most part, I'm always want to do what's right, and that comes from my parents. My dad's a preacher. And obviously my mum's like a Christian, but growing up in that environment, you kind of got this strong sense of right and wrong. Whether or not the right and wrong is correct in a religious sense,
sure.
I don't believe in God anymore, whatever. But at the same time, there's still a lot of things that I was put on a certain path. So even as an adult growing up, I've always had that sense of, nah, that's wrong, you shouldn't do that. And even though they can sometimes are little things, as an adult now, I still hold myself to that standard. Like, yeah. So I feel like that's something I definitely got from my parents.
It's a great answer. You said within that answer, obviously you've done a whole heap of bad stuff. What did you mean by that?
I just think like a lot of kids get into you, man. Like when you're young coming up, you kind of have this idea that you have to be successful, right? So to be successful, you have to make money, and there's not going to be a lot of opportunities to really make a lot of money easily. There's a lot of ways to make money if you really want to work. But when you're young, you're kind of looking for the easiest way to do things. So I went down a path of like what most people do, selling drugs, and like I wasn't a great drug dealer, or I'd still be doing it now. But that's the path I went down, and with that comes a lot of stuff, man. Like people kind of look at the idea, the glamorous side that's shown in like music and entertainment. Like yeah, the road is the money and the cars and the girls and that kind of stuff, but really and truly, that's like literally the 1% of it. The rest of it is a scummy, grimy, nasty, and I feel like that's the part that doesn't really get shown enough to people. So yeah, there's a rapper called Elzai, and he says, "It's such an ugly game. Why does it look beautiful from afar?" And that's the way people see it. They look at it like, "Ooh, that's got this car. He's doing that." But at the same time, you're involved in a lot of like horrible things. And even though I'm not a religious person, I'm not a superstitious person, I kind of believe in the idea of karma, and not even in a spiritual way. I just feel like what goes around comes around, and it's almost impossible to be involved in that kind of stuff without that kind of stuff catching up with you. So as soon as I got out of that life and really just stuck into music.
What was the catalyst? And I mean, you touched upon music then, but what was the catalyst to getting out?
Two things, I think. My daughter being born, and that meaning like you kind of have to be a bit more serious. Like to some people that kind of gets them deeper into it, but for me I was like, nah, because if I keep going down this road, I'm not gonna be able to come out. And even being in it for a short amount of time, which I think is short, like, I don't know, 10 years or whatever, it takes so long to get out of it. And I was thinking, if I carry on going down this road, then I'm never going to get out. As soon as you get hit and you go inside, then that's, again, you can't come back from that. Or you can, but it's really hard, and I didn't want to go down that route. And I had a vision, man. Like, I wanted to do music. Like, I knew music was that. If I think about who I am, yeah, I'm a musician. Like, I make music. That's how I always wanted people to see me. That's how I always saw myself. So, yeah, when my daughter was born around that time was the catalyst of me just going, all right, cool. Let's take music really seriously, or not even music. Let's take life seriously. Like, let's not mess about anymore. That stuff's for the kids, man. I was 20 at the time, and it's like, can't be really be doing it anymore. Let's move out the way and do something different. So it did take me till about maybe 25, 26 to really get out all the way, but it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned earlier within that explanation then that once you're in it, it's hard to get out, and it takes a fair amount of time to get out. For someone that's like potentially unaware of like the repercussions of being within that lifestyle, why does it take so long to get out?
Because you're getting connections, man. You're connected to certain people. Even when we talk about like the beefs that come up, there's certain beefs that I'm in, that I've been in since I was a kid. They're never going. They're there forever. Like, you know what I mean? On site is what on site means. And these are things that happened years ago. But it doesn't just stop because someone decides, yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. It's like, but you did something in that time. You have to pay for that. That's not going away anytime soon. So I feel like a lot of people don't even see that side of things. And that's, to me, that's a superficial side. There's a deeper side of that where if you've got a criminal record, that's harder to get a job. It's harder to get a mortgage. It's hard to get loans, credit. It's hard. I've got boys that can't leave the country. So being in a situation where you've done what you did your time, you came out of that life, you're doing something positive, and you have an opportunity to go somewhere else and do it. You go to get that opportunity and they go, nah, because you did something 10 years ago. Yeah. You can't leave the country. So there's so many bits and pieces that come back to haunt you from that time. Things that you go through that will change you forever. So again, to me, it's one of those things where if you're in it, then you kind of got to be in it for life. And I don't think anyone really wants to be in that life for life.
How much more important does that make the initial decision to get into something like that?
What, to get into roads? I don't think people ever think of it that way.
Okay, that's interesting.
I don't think you make a conscious decision to go, yeah, right, from now on, I'm going to be a drug dealer. It's just around you. It's in the flow of things. And you get to a certain age and you just merge into the traffic and you just carry on. It takes a conscious decision to really say, I don't ever want to do that. That's where you kind of need the decision to come out of it. I don't think you need the decision to go into it. We live in a society where, especially when you come from poverty, where being poor is a crime. It's looked at as like, yo, you're doing something wrong. Like, you're supposed to be rich, and everyone's either lying, pretending they're rich, or trying to look rich, or, you know what I mean? All these. The reason why we have all like social media, the reason why we have social media influences is because of that image we're all trying to portray. To
paint the picture.
That's but everyone's pushing. Everyone's taking pictures outside selfies with their bags. I don't care about your bags, bro. Like, where's your kids? Like, but that's not the important bit. The important bit is showing everyone, yeah, I got money. So if you're growing up seeing that and thinking, I need to make money at some point, whether it be, and not even, it doesn't always have to be criminal, whether it just be you need to get a job early or you need to, you know what I mean, whatever it is, that's in the mindset. The mindset is always, I need to get money. The mindset is never, I need to be happy. I need to do what's going to feed my soul. I need to do what's going to make me feel like I've achieved something in life. Those things, it's always stuck on get a job, go uni. Why do uni? To get a good job. Work hard in school. Why? To get a good job. It's like, why do you want a good job? So you have money. Well, most people are going to think, if I'm doing all that to get money, I can just skip that and do that. These guys are out here making whatever they're making, then let me get involved in that. So I think it's the decision is always to take the long route and go, nah, do you know what? I'm going to do things the right way, or as right as you might feel it is anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like a lot of that, from my perspective anyway, is what's fed into you as a child, and predominantly from your parents as well. The messages that you're fed within your early years become obviously your subconscious beliefs, and then whether you want to believe them or not, they affect your decisions moving forward into the future in the latter stages of your life. So I wondered, with that in mind and the explanation and the insight that you've just given, what was your relationship like with your parents, and kind of what messages did they send you with regards to what we were just talking about?
My parents are like super squares, middle class. Obviously, both of them professionally are teachers.
Okay.
So my dad was always like, work hard, get your grades. School is important. That's what you need to be focused on. My mum wasn't as vocal, really. She was kind of just more, like, listen to your father. And my dad he's an intellectual. So he's a master's degree, get your degrees. Like, even when we talk now, he's like, yeah, man, you got to write a book, man, write a book. You know what I mean? Like, all these different things. And whenever I tell him, yeah, I'm going to speak at uni, like, he loves that kind of stuff. Because he's like, oh, see? You know what I mean? Like, but me, at the time, I've only really ever had two loves in my life, like, as far as what I wanted to do. The first was really music, and the second was basketball. So that's what I was focused on. I've never been interested in school, learning in the way that schools teach. As I've got older, I've realised that that's because I just don't learn that way. So it never made sense to me. But at the time, there's no way to really vocalise that. And your parents aren't even in a position to even try to hear that anyway. No. So you can't, if you come back and your grades are rubbish and you're like, what's going on with your grades, work harder. And you're like, nah, but the way they're teaching me ain't really gelling. Because even at the time, I don't even understand enough. I don't know the framework of education enough to pinpoint. I don't learn that way. All I know is I don't like it. And all they know is work harder. So we kind of butted heads that way. So as far as rebelling as a kid, I always saw like my parents, you lot are some goody two-shoes, you lot are going to do that. But to me, there's a whole different world out here that's cool. I want to go where these kids are going. I want to do what these kids are doing. Like my parents never let me listen to, when I was younger, I weren't listening to any other music apart from church music. We were never allowed to watch any movies that were like 18s or 15s, any of that in the yard. Like that would never happen. So when I went to other friends' houses or my cousins and I see what they listen to, I'm like, oh man, I want to do that. Like that's the bit I want to get into. So that always looked glamorous to me, like growing up. So that's what I was trying to get into. And then obviously, as soon as I could get out of the house and do my own thing, that's what I did.
I'm wondering, and thank you for going so in depth, by the way, and for being so honest there. It's humbling to hear, so I appreciate it a lot. And one thing that I'm interested in, and it will become clearer later in the conversation why I'm asking this question, but how much financial support did your parents give you within your early years?
None. Like my parents ain't that. It's funny, yeah, because I had this conversation with my boys the other day, and I was saying how like my dad is the kind of person that if you say, Dad, I need £100 for a pair of trainers, he will say, all right, cool, come, and we'll go. He'll find me a job, right? And then when I get that job, he'll go, cool, and you got to give 50% for rent and 10% you got to save, and then I'm left with like £10. He's like, all right, cool, you know what I mean? You got to keep saving. That's what my dad does. So my dad was always the kind of person who would put barriers in my way because his mindset was always, you're a black man in this country. It's going to be harder for you. You need to get used to it now. You need to work harder than everybody else. So that was his thing. Like I said, I played basketball, right? And so, but I'm one of 6 kids. So, so my parents ain't got money to, like, you know what I mean?
What position within the
I'm the eldest.
I'm the eldest.
Yeah. So I was the boss. I'm not the boss now. My sister's running. But like in my family, I was always led to believe that we were poor because just of the way we just never had stuff. And if I said, yo, I want some new trainers, it would be like, okay, cool, you can have £30 for trainers. Trainers don't cost £30. Like trainers are £70. Nope, you got £30 or you can try and get rest. So that's how it would be. So, and it wasn't like, if I got trainers for my birthday, I ain't getting no trainers again till my next birthday. So I remember playing basketball and my trainers had holes in because playing basketball, your trainers were destroyed. And my parents never used to come and watch me play basketball, but I was really good.
How'd that make you feel?
At the time, I didn't really care. Like, when you're young, you don't really want your parents there anyway. You kind of just, I just want to be with my mates and just, do my thing.
How does it make you feel now, knowing that they didn't? Well, maybe this is a bit of a harsh way of looking at it, but knowing that they didn't care enough to come.
I think it's a case of, I got 2 kids, right? It's hard enough to go see what they're doing. If I had 6, like, all right, I'm gonna sit this one out. Like, I ain't come. You know what I mean? You play basketball, cool. That's cool. When you make the NBA, I'll come and see. But up until then, you know what I mean? I got to feed these other kids as well. So that's what they were on. But one time, I don't know why, my mum came and saw me play, and I was badding up everyone. And afterwards, she was like, oh, "I'm gonna get you some new trainers." And I was like, "Oh, sick." But like, it was very rare that I would get support financially. Extra, but at the same time, like I said, they were clothes, food, shelter. So when you kind of, as an adult, you look and you're like, that's what you lot were doing to 6 kids. Then it's like, and even not even just 6 kids, man. My dad and my parents, they're very generous. So they help a lot of people out. They've always done that. So it's now as an adult, I'm like, nah, you lot were doing way above and beyond. So yeah.
No, that's an amazing story. Again, thank you for going into it. It's it's really interesting. And like you say, I have asked that question for a reason that will become clearer later on within the conversation. So it'd be an interesting point to go into. But to kind of maybe transition into the present, is there anything else like from your past journey that you think would be a really important discussion point?
As it pertains to where I am today, I think it's just watching the difference of how I saw my dad then and how I see my dad now.
Okay, let's talk about that. How did you see him in the past? In
the past, I didn't want to be like my dad. So my dad was like I don't know, man. You're the church guy. You're like, my dad's not no push. My dad's a bad man. You know what I mean? Like, my dad's from Tooting. Like, he grew up when Tooting was Tooting and moved to Brixton when Brixton was Brixton. So my dad ain't no softie, yeah. But at the same time, I just always wanted to be kind of my own person, and the things that he did, I didn't respect because I hadn't done them yet. I'm on the other side now, yeah. And now I can look back at my dad when I'm older than my dad was, way older than my dad was when he had his 6 kids. Right, and running his 2 houses and all that kind of stuff, right? So now looking back at that young man who was doing that, I'm like, nah, this guy was a hustler. Like, this guy was really doing it. And as I get older, I'm more trying to be like him.
Yeah.
Like the things that he did, I see, like, okay, nah, I see what you were doing, and the things that you instilled in me. It's almost like on a daily basis, something that he says will go through my head, and I'm like, oh yeah.
So the older you get, the more your respect and admiration grows for him.
Yeah, man. It's like they say that the teacher will appear when a student is ready. And that means, like, you can tell somebody something and they're not going to get it.
Yeah.
And when they're ready, they'll go, oh, that's what you meant. And there's so many things. My dad, like, when I was with my dad, he used to be talking and he'll be saying things and I'm like, kind of listening but not really getting it. And then as I get older, like, every year, every day, I'll remember something and be like, oh yeah, oh, that's what you, okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And just seeing in the long term as well, like seeing how the path my dad's life has taken, it's really important, because there's a lot of people that did a lot of things that I thought was way cooler than my dad was at the time, who ain't here now, dead, jail, broke, whatever. So it's really just kind of being able to see someone's path and understanding, yeah, you know what, if I follow this person. And I'm big on that as well. I'm big on like strategy. I'm big on blueprints. I'm big on really seeing what other people have done. And
analysing.
Yeah, and going, all right, if you did that and I do that, then I'm going to be somewhere where you are. And that's one thing with my dad. I'm like, okay, I see what you did. That's the path I'm trying to take.
To again compare past and present. So your song, You Mug, it got me thinking, so how do you think, and this is kind of a bit of a humorous one but also got a serious edge to it, how do you think your past self would react to your present self if you bumped into each other in a pub?
I think my past self would have that respect, because I always have respect for my elders. But at the same time, I was always kind of looking like, my thing was always, you can tell me what you want to tell me, but I need to see the results. What have you got? So I was never listening to, you know what I mean? Like my thing is always, I don't take financial advice from broke people. So I'm always like, you can say what you want, but what did you do? And I think my past self, I think I've even written a song about this, I must have. And I'm talking to my past self, and my past self is super proud of me right now. But I don't know if he knows the path he needs to take to get here. I think he's on a totally different way, and not really understanding the importance of not just the importance of people, man. Like that's one thing I don't think when I was younger, I really understood the importance of relationships and the importance of like the industry and what industry means. And having a team, having people that you can call up and say, ask for advice. When I was young, I was never on that. I was always just, I'm doing it my way. That's it. It's my way or the highway. I don't care what you lot say. I'm not listening. I'm doing this. And I feel like that really wasted probably about a decade of growth, because I was too hard-headed to really sit back and analyze what's going on around me, having that self-awareness to really look and just like chart things like every year. Okay, you did this year. What are you doing next year? What about the year after that? How did reflect? How did last year go? What went well? What went bad?
Yeah.
Instead of just always being, I don't know, man. Almost, it's almost a contradiction, right? Because it's like you're saying you really want something, but you're not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And if I say to him, yo, are you taking it seriously? Yes, I'm taking it seriously. Cool. All right, well, what's your numbers? Like, let's look at analytics. You won't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right, you're not serious then, man. Like, you're serious about the art. There's a whole lot of other stuff that you need to be serious about as well, if you're serious about the art. Like, it's way bigger than can you rap. Everyone can rap. At this level, everyone can rap. Everyone's got talent. Everyone can make beats. Everyone could do everything. What do you have that's going to get you above that?
You said within that answer that the past self wouldn't know what it would take to get to where you are today. So, I mean, to express that, what did it take?
It took some sitting back. It took some humbling experiences.
What humbling experiences?
Humbling experiences of seeing people go past you when you started before them. And instead of getting angry or resentful about that, I've always just been like...
Getting inspired? Or?
Yeah, like I'm always inspired. When people do stuff, I'm always like, oh, that's it. Like I've never been a hater. Like I've never been someone who's like, nah, man, how did they do that? They shouldn't do that. I should be doing that. I've never been that kind of person.
Do you think that quality within yourself is rare?
I don't know, you know. I think... I think I see a lot more... I do see hate online, yeah? But at the same time, I take it with a pinch of salt. Because I always kind of feel like if I took these people and sat them down, would they say the same things or feel the same things, or are they just saying it because it's the internet thing to do? The internet's internet, and like, is that just what they're on? So I see it a lot, but I don't know how real it is.
Yeah.
But for me, yeah, I saw people do things, and I wasn't quick enough. I should have started earlier, but then what I started doing is kind of just going, how did they do it? Like, not just what they did. Like, yeah, that's cool that you did it, but how did you do it? Who did you do it with? When was the switch? What changed? Like, all these questions, it's all questions, man. It's like, and that's one thing I've learned going forward. A lot of times it's asking the right questions, because if you can ask the right questions, you're going to get a good answer. And that's the bit that a lot of people they're not asking the right questions. They have ideas and they have goals, but there's so many steps before you get to that goal. And every single one of them questions need to be answered. And when bits are missing, you're missing the game. And I feel like every year that's what happens. Every year I just figure out something else. I'm just like, oh, that's how they did that. Okay, cool. Because part of the problem is, yeah, when you're an artist, especially when you're a young artist, your idea is, if I'm the best, then I'll just be at the top. Like, that's it. That's as simple as I rap better than everyone. If I rap better than Dave, I rap better than Stormzy, I rap better than anyone. Anyone you speak, if I can rap better than them, I'll be bigger than them, right? Hell no. Like that's not even close to reality. There's so much other stuff that has to go right before you even get in the door.
What stuff?
You need to know the right people, and I don't mean know the right people as in, it's all about who you know what I mean? Backhanders. Nah, it's not even that. It's just like, just being in the circles, just understanding like, you have to be seen. Like you can be an amazing rapper, but if you're only in your bedroom, no one's gonna see that. You could be making amazing YouTube videos, but if they're not promoted in the right way, no one's gonna see that. There's always a few outliers, yeah, who do get lucky, who do get that viral break and go viral or get the one hit wonder or whatever. But a lot of them don't even get to carry that on because
it's short-lived.
It's short-lived.
And do you think, actually, this is interesting, so I asked you a moment ago, do you think like your quality of not hating on people, of actually taking inspiration from their wins as a rare quality? And you said you don't know. So in the same vein, you referenced there is a number of people that do get the quick wins, that do get up there, just not necessarily just through luck, but there's an element of luck to get them to where they're going to be. Do you think those examples that you gave breed that negativity and that hatred towards people who are winning?
A little bit, only because, like I said, let's speak of Dave, yeah? So we say Dave got big from the age of 19, yeah? And so you might look at that. Someone like me will go, raw, like you did in 1 year, 2 years, what I haven't been able to do in 15 years, right? But at the same time, it's all relative, man. Like, you don't know what else he's been through. You don't know what else he's going to go through. You don't, there's so many, you don't know what his life is now. Like, there's so many variables. And you might look back and go, man, he got it overnight. Like, you don't know what he sacrificed to get there. One of my things my mum said to me one time, I was talking about someone's car or something. And she said, don't watch the car because you don't know what they did to get it. And I was went, damn. Like, what would you sacrifice to have the things that they have? And it's not even a rhetorical question. It's a real question. Like, what would you give up? And most people, there's not many things they would give up. Like, they like their life, how their life is. And I think this all the time. Like, I'm cool where I am. I'm happy where I am. I do want more, but at the same time, not at the sacrifice of happiness and peace. And one of the things, like, going back to kind of coming off the road and like just getting into civilian life. One thing I remember is I think it's about 5 years down after I'd kind of like ain't sold nothing. I've been good. And I heard police go by. And I remember thinking, yeah, it's not for me. And then being like, oh shit, it's not for me. Like, and just being like, oh, you know what? I can relax. Like, I can sleep. Like, I know no one's coming for me for nothing. I don't owe anybody any money. Like, and that peace is worth way more than the money ever was. So again, it's just kind of figuring out like what's for you. The things that are for you. Like, even when I'm in my competition bag and I'm shouting, I'm in my head, I'm cussing all these rappers out. Like, I would bury you. Like, put me on a track with you. And that's just, to me, that's just fun. But the real side of it is, man, like, the stuff that's for me is for me. The stuff that's for them is for them, and that's blessed. Like, we're cool like that. I think all the time of like Cadet not being here, yeah, and just seeing like his rise, and then it just stopping. Like, then you're gone, and so at that time, like, you're just at the peak. You're about to just jump through the door, and it's like, would I give up that to stay alive and not? Know what I mean, music just stay where it is. And most time people say, yeah, I'd probably rather be alive than be known but not be here. So to me, that's the way my brain works, man. It's always, I'm just all over the place with it. But yeah, I protect my peace. I like my peace. I don't want what no one else has. I want what I have, and I want what's for me.
It's a good answer. Thank you again. Yeah, it's incredible, actually. So the knowledge that's coming across is honestly, like, it's infectious. So I appreciate it, and I know that will come across on the camera, on the audio, and everything. So yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, I'm a bit shook, I can't lie, but no, I mean, so to transition into the present, this is actually the final question that I'll ask you on the past, and it does relate to the present. So I get the impression that you're very much someone that will go through a negative experience but will find positives within that negative experience. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think was the most negative at the time or traumatic experience at the time within your past that gave you the most positive lessons to move into your present and your future?
See, I would say my childhood was good. I would say the real negative side of things came in my 20s. So I'd say from like the age when my first album came out, I was 21. So I'd say from 21 to like 20 to like maybe 30 would be, or maybe even 30, like, yeah, maybe 30 would be my darkest time as far as just where I was in life and how I felt about myself.
How did you feel about yourself?
I think I felt like a failure, or I felt like it was, even if I didn't feel like a failure, I felt like I was seen as a failure. Because
Which is worse, do you think?
I think at the time, I think being seen as a failure, and maybe even now, like I think a lot of my issues come from how I'm seen, right? Or did come from that. So it took a lot for me to be in a position where I can be comfortable in you having your idea of me and me not trying to correct you. Like before, if people thought something about me, I'd have to correct them because I kind of felt that way about myself as well. You know what I mean? So people feeling like, oh, yo, you never made it. Like you should have made it. Nah, you should have been bigger, bro. Oh my God, your first album was sick. Like, how come you didn't get as big as blah, 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 blah? Like, I think that got to me a lot. And I was in a place, and so I feel like you can have that if your personal life is patterned, innit? Then you're kind of like, oh, whatever, I don't really care about that stuff. But I think because my personal life is so wrapped up in my professional life, they're almost one and the same. So
could you go into that a bit more? I don't really understand.
So I give everything. 90% of what I do behind closed doors gets put on record. So if you listen to all my music, there's not much about me you won't know. I could probably name maybe like 3 or 4 things that I'll probably never put on record, that I might allude to, but I'm never gonna really say them. That I think are personal, and only because they involve other people. So I can't put other people's business out there, but I'm involved in it in a way. So to me, there's no difference between Genesis Elijah and Nathaniel Bygrave. They're the same people, right? But everyone knows, or everyone, but people who listen to my music know they know me in it. And to me, I've always been I made a decision. That's what I wanted to do. I want to put my life on the paper. I put my life on the music. That's what I made the decision to do. So if you say, yo, Jen, man, you didn't make it, what you're saying is, yo, Nathaniel, you didn't make it. So I think that was a hard thing to deal with. And it was almost something that I didn't deal with. I kind of just, I was always running from it, man. I'm just trying to, like, you know what I mean? And that's what I said before, when I'm like, I'm so focused on the goal, I'm not really chilled and really seeing how do we actually get there. Like I'm in the car and I got my foot down and I'm just, but I'm like, yo, bro, slow down, turn the sat nav on, like put in, like, where you going? Like figure this out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just chill, go for the drive through McDonald's, get a drink. Like, let's make this a cool journey. Whereas before I was just like trying to just speed through because I just felt like I need to get to there. I need to get there. And not even really thinking what there was. And it's funny because the things I wanted, were so small. Like the places that I wanted to be, like, were so minuscule in where I am now. Like, I don't even look at that stuff as stuff. It's like, but you wanted that. Like, that was the big thing you were trying to go for. Like, you little brokey. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a whole world out there. You're trying to get this little underground rap thing. And it's like, bro, like, do you know music exists, yeah? Do you know there's like a whole big world of music out there? And yeah, that was just part of it, man. Just figuring out that, and that kind of took me out of that place that I think was really dark.
So the present, you said within your past, and when you were speaking about that dark moment, that you made the conscious decision to make your music yourself, to put everything, it's almost like your biography, for sake of example. Do you in the present feel like you made the right decision to do that?
Yeah. Do you know why? Because you can always go back, like, or you can always change and do other stuff, make other music. You can always make the party songs. You can always do that kind of stuff. You can always do that. So, but at the same time, there's going to be a time when I'm not here anymore. There's going to be a time when my kids ain't here and their kids ain't here. And in the future, there's going to be someone that can go back and go, yo, that's my great, great, great granddad or whatever. And they can hear the way my brain was working when I was 20. They can hear how I was at 25, at 30, at 35. You know what I mean? There's so much detail in what I put in that you can learn about me. On the way here, I was thinking like, I was listening to Earl Sweatshirt's album, and he says, my granddad spoke 30 languages, but still didn't have much to say or something like that. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. But like, then I'm thinking, both my grandparents, my granddads, we've never had like a deep conversation. Like, I don't know, like, how was your childhood? And my great grandparents, like, they're long gone, so I'll never know about them. They didn't have a podcast. They didn't write nothing down. They ain't got no mixtapes. So that history is gone forever. So to me, the music is, there's certain things I want from music, yeah. But in the big scheme of things, that's actually not even important. The important part is the documentation that is there, because there might be someone else in the future who is way more valuable to just for what it is. And that goes through my mind a lot.
Yeah, it's a good answer, and it's actually answered my next question, which was going to be, why do you make music today? But you've gone into that. So to talk about the music today then, so 2021, 3 albums, I believe, 40 songs in total, which is crazy.
53.
53?
Actually, 53 singles.
Okay.
But then I did features as well, so there was like another 20, and I had an album I did for my publishing deal, so that I didn't even push. So there's a lot of music, man.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What was the thought process behind the aggressive schedule?
The thought process was, I had a lot of music that was kind of sitting there anyway. But then somebody put out a tweet. My boy Michael, he put out a tweet and he was like, yo, these are the hardest working artists out right now. And that offended me, because I was like, don't put me with no one else, man. Like, no one, like, if I really put my foot down, like, no one's touching me there. Like, not when it comes to like making music, putting music out. That's a different, like I say, everyone's got their thing, but this rap thing, that's mine. This is my space. And so I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna drop a single every week. Like, keep up with that. If you lot can do that, then I'll be like, all right, cool, you're hard workers. So that's what I did. Dropped a single every week, and it started off of kind of having a few songs in the tuck that I could be like, yeah, right, I'll put that out. But that went real quick, and then I had to like make fresh music every week, and I love that process. And so that's what I did. So every week I would start Monday thinking about what theme it was going to be.
Sick.
Kind of get the beat ready, what kind of vibe I was going to go for, and then Wednesday record it, send it off. Thursday, get it back. Friday, upload it. And or sometimes I would try to get it done a couple of days before so I could upload it, get it to Spotify in time and all that. And
how did you feel about the reception?
The reception was, on the whole, the reception was amazing. Like on like, if you kind of look at it as one big project, streams were up over 100%. YouTube was up over 70%. Like, as far as numbers, it did really well. Certain songs got more love than other songs.
Sure.
Which is
only natural, right?
Yeah, and that's cool in itself, because what it does, it goes, I might be like, I did a song with Rico Dan and Grim Sickers, yeah, called Radio. And that was that was early in the year, right? So that was one of the songs that I was like, I'm going to give this one a big push. People are going to love this. Like, the track is sick. It's going to go nuts. Dropped it, crickets. I'm like, damn, man, like, what? Like, how are you not feeling that? Then I might drop another song that's just all right, let me just get this one out of the way because it's there. People go crazy over it. I'm just like, I can't figure this out. Like, I don't know what you lot want. So it kind of like shows it's almost out of your hands.
Quick one. We work with a lot of up-and-coming urban artists across the UK who are seeking press assistance, radio airtime, creative marketing solutions, and really all-round artist development within an industry that is constantly evolving. which is why when we had the opportunity to partner with the 1994 Collective on this podcast, it made perfect sense. So to any aspiring artists that are seeking commercial success, please do get in contact with the 1994 Collective and let them know we sent you.
I pride myself on quality control. The quality is always going to be there. So it's never going to be like the quality dipped. It might just be a style some people aren't feeling, but at the same time, you don't get to dictate what resonates with the people. The people decide what hits and what doesn't hit. You don't make the hits. They make the hits. And that was a cool thing to know, because it's like, all right, cool, that's what it is. And I always remember Gig saying, a lot of people make a song and they don't hit and they get all depressed and like, oh, he's like, just make another song, innit? And that was the whole year. That's what it was about. It's like, that don't hit? Cool. So we're here next week, man. Like, oh, you like that one? Cool, there's another next week. And that's what we did. And it just got to a point where people were waiting. There'd be days where, or a week where, coming up to the later part of the year, there'd be parts where I didn't get it up in time and DMs, inbox would go crazy. Yo, bro,
that's
where's this track?
testament.
Yeah, like, and it was like, cool. And another thing which was really cool was like, they were different genres as well. So we started off the year in grime. Then we went to like rap. And then the end of the year we went to like sample-based hip-hop. And almost all of them had the same core audience, but then different people dipping in and people really going, yeah, do you know what, man? I love the grime stuff, man. But then this stuff, yeah, that's me. And people that I wouldn't even expect to really like because the last stuff, the last album, I really made that for me. Like I really made that for like maybe me and maybe about 5 of my diehard fans who love that style. That was our thing, man. But loads of people jumped in that I didn't think would, and were like, yo, this is amazing, this is incredible. So yeah, it was a good I guess like it was about discipline as well, man. Like, how do you keep your work rate up? And it's an exercise in productivity and dedication. And it came to me, it did what it's supposed to do, man. I pushed myself to a creative limit. And also I got to a point where it's really, I've always said it, I can write songs easy, man. Like, give me a beat now, we can make a song right now. It's not hard at all. But now it's got to a point where it is really like, it's natural, it's as easy as breathing. And I'm in that space all the time. People say it's hard to kind of get into the flow state and where you're really just in your zone. But doing that many songs, I got to a point where it's like, yeah, I'm in my bag 100% now. Like,
what's your definition of flow state? So I've read a book on it, so I'm just interested to understand.
To me, it's when I say something that surprises me. So when I spit a verse or a couple of bars, and I'm like, whoa, did I just say that? Like, because then it's like I'm almost out of myself, and I'm operating on a higher level where I'm creatively in touch with myself. That's the bit you're trying to get. Because one of the hardest things is, how do you get your personality over to someone who doesn't know you, and in a creative way? And you're kind of when you're rapping, you're kind of showing off as well. So you know what I mean? You're trying to do a good job, but at the same time, how do you get that connection? What's the bit that gets people good to go, I really understand what you just said. I really connect with you. Same with this, interviews. Like, how do you do an interview without coming off like a dick and just going, look, I did this, I did that, I'm amazing? There's going to be a little part where someone just goes, he said something that I can just relate to. Oh shit, you're just a normal person. Yeah, cool, all right, cool. Nah, man, I fuck with you. And it's that in the music. How do you do that in the music? How do I say something that you're going to go, yo, I really get that. I understand that. I feel that. And certain songs, depending on the theme, there's certain songs where you just hit that a lot easier. When I wrote Breakdown, I knew that song was gonna relate. People were gonna relate to that because I just know it was people had gone through a hard year. Like, everyone had gone through some crazy shit. So when I wrote that, again, I'm just in this place, and it's almost like you know the mic's on, but you're not performing for the mic. You know the camera's on, but you're not performing for the camera. You're having a real honest moment with yourself. And to me, that's flow state. When the mic could be on or not, but you're doing you.
Yeah, it's facts. And just to widen that a little bit for people that don't know anything about flow state, ultimately we'll speak about happiness in a bit, but if you optimize the things that put you in that flow state, doing those things, then you will be happier. And I guess like a really simple definition of flow state is when you lose track of time. So you're doing something and you look at the time and it's 6 hours later. That is your flow state. There's no distractions and you lose track of time. So if you can think of something that, for sake of example, playing football, for a lot of people, that is their flow state. They don't know how much time's gone by. They're enjoying themselves. And if you can optimize doing those things that put you in that state, then you will be a happier individual. So I would recommend that. So yeah, it's a good point to touch on. To stay on the topic of music, and this is kind of linking to the point that I asked you earlier. So within your song Paris, which I love, by the way, but you say, as an adult, I don't want it hard for my kids, so I graft hard. That's what fatherhood is.
Yeah.
Is that an experience, or is that a thought process, that is dictated by your parents not giving you financial support?
I would say 100%. Because I had this discussion with my wife like last week, I think. And so she's talking about, my daughter, when she starts working, you know what I mean, paying rent and stuff. And I was like, why? Why would you get her to pay rent? She doesn't need to pay rent. She's like, we don't need the money. So where does that come from? My parents did it. Yeah, my parents did it too. Why? I don't know. Something we just did. But because they thought they were teaching us responsibility. Because you got to be responsible, boom, boom, boom. But where's the part where we decide, let's break this pattern and do something different?
Yeah.
Because what is way more important than my daughter having a job or paying for stuff is her knowing what she wants to do with her life.
Yeah.
To me, that's the most important part. So this idea of you need to, because this is what happens. You say, right, you're 18 now, you got to pay this amount of rent, yeah? So that means they have to get a job. What job? Don't matter, any job, because they need to pay rent. That's already an L. You've already lost. You're already killing time that you don't have. Life is super short. It's so short we don't even know how short it is because it can stop at any moment. So in that time you're alive, you should be just finding a thing you love, finding the stuff that, again, talking about the flow state. Where is that? Where do you find that? Where do you find that joy? If you find that, all the other stuff comes. All the other stuff comes. I'm not going to have my money made. Everyone's got 24 hours moment, yeah? But like, there's a lot of money everywhere, right? And it's so much easier to find the thing that you love and turn that into a job rather than being somewhere you hate, getting money and then trying to like get around it. It just doesn't work that way. But we've been told that's the way you're supposed to do it. And everybody gets to a point in their life where they decide, that's what the midlife crisis is. It's where you've done your whole life trying to get to this point and you never got to the point. And then you go, all right, forget all this, I'm starting again. And then you run off and you go and get a Porsche or whatever. Like, don't do that, man. Do the happy bit first. Like, figure that out. Once you figure that out, then we're good. We're lit. We can find things. I say to my daughters all the time, what do you want to do? I promise you, whatever you want to do, I'm going to figure out a way to make money from it. But just tell me what you want to do first. And then we'll make it work. Like, that's the way things should be. So I feel like having, like I said, how my dad was, definitely changed the way that I want to be. Like, I my focus for my kids is, find a happiness, and then we'll sort the rest out. Like we did. If my life was only just to get to this place, so you can do that, then we're good. Like, me and your mum ain't got to worry about money. We're cool. You shouldn't have to worry about money. And even I told my daughters from young. I remember having a conversation with my daughter like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? I want to go so-and-so, but it's expensive. Why do you care? You're 6 years old. Don't tell me what's expensive, what's not expensive. You ain't paying. I'm paying. Yeah? That's my problem, not your problem. You tell me what you want to do. And to me, that's the bit I've always tried to instill into them. Don't care the price. Don't care what's expensive. Tell me what you want to do. We'll figure out that other stuff later.
Okay, so I have a question for you. So it was actually something that we were listening to earlier. So we went back and we listened to Joey Badass's All American Badass, which incredible album, by the way. But I wasn't going to ask this, and it just came up, and I thought it was really relevant to the point that I just raised. So it's actually the J. Cole verse, but he says within the song Legendary, he says, "How much does a man need? How much can he hoard before his greed? How can a rich father teach humbleness to his seed?" So the last point of that question I wanted to ask you. So I guess you're by no means spoiling your children. That's not what I'm trying to put across. But I guess by instilling in them, don't worry about money, I'll deal with it. How do you instill humbleness within them?
I think there's a lot of stuff that's wrapped up in money that ain't even supposed to be wrapped up in money.
Mm-hmm.
So, like people say, oh, money doesn't buy happiness. It's not supposed to. Like, it's dumb to even say that. It's like money doesn't buy air or whatever. Like, what are you talking about? It's not supposed to buy happiness. They're totally different things. They don't work in the same spectrum. So you shouldn't even be looking at it that way. And having your kids understand hard work, yeah. I think, you know what the problem is? We're way more interested or way more focused on our kids understanding where we came from and understanding how hard it was to get where we came from and hard work and all that kind of stuff. All right, cool. But there's other things that, again, are more important than that. Like, is your kid a nice person? Like, how do you treat people? That's got nothing to do with money. Like, one thing that people always say, I've always been proud of my kids for, is when they meet my kids, they're like, oh, they're like so polite. You know what I mean? And to me, that's important. That ain't nothing to do with money or how much you have or whatever. That's just being a good person, being a decent person. Like, all that other stuff, again, man, we can deal with it later. But to me, it's about the things I try to teach my kids is about respect. It's about being honest. It's about being your authentic self. And if you can be those things, yeah, you can be honest, have compassion, be self-aware. Everything else is going to sort itself out. You won't have to worry about being humble or whatever. And even the idea of being humble, I think a lot of times humbleness is it's put on as like a stone, like, yo, you're getting too high, bruv. Like, come down. Come down for what? Like, what are you talking about? Sometimes I don't need to be humble. Sometimes you can be humble in certain aspects, but at the same time, there has to be a place for you to say, none of you can fuck with me. Like, I'm really that dude. Like, it don't matter what it is. It might be cooking. You might make the best scrambled eggs. Listen, when I make scrambled eggs, yeah, bring your toast. Yeah, because like, I'm really about it. Like, you have to have this space. And I feel like there's a lot of the world who have that idea when they see someone doing really well, they want to drag you down. Yeah. Like I say, they clap when you're rising, cheer when you're falling. They love that because that's just how they were taught. They were taught. They one time they were doing something really cool. They were doing wheelies in their bike, and someone was like, "What you doing, man? Like, pattern up," and they were like, "Oh, cool." Like, and now they're doing it to everybody else, and it's like, no, man. Like, do your wheelies. Like, do you? You're supposed to praise yourself and praise others. Don't worry about. There's a lot of stuff. Again, don't worry about being humble, man. Worry about just being a nice person and being loving, like having empathy for other people. Like, worry about that stuff, and all the other stuff will take care of itself.
Yeah, it's interesting. Russ says, like, in one of his interviews I watched, he's like, I hate the word humble. Like, humble is just a way of bringing people down. Like, He's like, I never use that word. But yeah, and I agree with it. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on it because, like I say, I heard the lyric and I was like, that's very relevant to actually the point that I'm going to bring up.
I've got the song "Stay Humble," and that comes. I wrote "Stay Humble" because that came from a situation where someone said to me, they were like, "Oh, we want you to do a show." And I was like, all right, cool, here's my price. And they were like, what? Like, would you do it for free? No, not do it for free. Oh, but so-and-so, he'll do it for free. Like, he's humble. Well, let him do the fucking show for free then. Let him be humble. Like, don't say, oh, he's humble. Like, well, he's right there. Go talk to him. Don't talk to me like that. Like, we're not, you know what I mean? I'm not that person. And that's the thing, it's like, the idea of like, trying to pull you down. You should be here. You should do that. No, I shouldn't. I really shouldn't. Like, you shouldn't even be asking me for these things. And I feel like it's a big part. And I hate it. Like, Someone said the other day I was on Twitter. You know, I'll be chatting shit on Twitter, and someone messaged me.
We're gonna go into that in a minute.
Someone messaged me and was like, "Oh, you should be the bigger person," and I just sent them the song "Humble," because I say in Humble, you better pray that I stay being a bigger man, because if I ever have to show you how big I am, you're gonna see how much of a prick I am. Like, and I just, that's you. Like, don't tell me anything. Like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and you're gonna react however you want to react to it. But the fact of the matter is, I have enough credit with the people who love me and that I love, and the people that I show respect. Like, we're always going to be cool. Like, anyone who shows me respect, we're always going to be cool, because I'm never going to disrespect. That's just not me. If I ever disrespect anybody, it was either by an accident or it came because they did something. But other than that, that's just not in my nature. So when I feel that, I clap back, because I'm always like, why me? Like, I'm cool out here just doing my thing. What made you wake up in the morning and decide, yeah, Genesis Elijah, that's the one for today? I'm like, why? Why me? So that's something that really kind of like, gets my back up, man.
Thank you for going into it.
Cool.
So let's talk about the future. And you referenced tweets. So I have one which is going to mould this latter and last stage of the conversation. So no, it's actually it's an interesting one that ties into the concept. So you said you're not a mountain climber until you've climbed a mountain. Some of you got shit in your bios that you ain't done yet. It's okay not to be what you want to be yet. Be honest with yourself. So the reason I wanted to bring that up, and the question that I want to ask off the back of that insight, is what do you want to be in the future?
I think I want to solidify myself as an entrepreneur.
What does the word entrepreneur mean to you?
To me, it means like making something from nothing, starting a business and being successful with that business. I think there are a lot of people, the reason like how that tweet came about was me just seeing people say things like, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm this, I'm that. And it's like, you're not yet, man. Like, you might be in the future, but you're not there yet. And to me, when you're saying you're something that you're not, from my point of view, it's mad clout chasey.
Do you think that it comes from a place of insecurity?
100% it does. And like, I'm not even mad at that. Like, I'm not mad at being insecure, because everyone has that level of insecurity. I have that level of insecurity. To me, the insecurity is what drives me to be the things I want to be. Why do I want to be an entrepreneur? Why do I want money? Why do I want to be rich? That comes from a place of insecurity, because I feel like without it, I'm in a weaker position as a person in this society. With it, I feel like I'm more powerful. That could be right or could be wrong, but that's what I use to drive me to get where I want to get to, right? There's a lot of people, and I feel like there are a lot of people who have that mentality. We saw it a little while ago, but they stopped it. Everyone had CEO in their bio. Like, I'm a CEO and nothing. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's really easy to find out if someone is a real CEO. You can literally just go online and see, did they register with Companies House? What's their company? Like, no, you didn't do that. But why are you saying it? Like, I'm a boss. No, you're not. You're not a boss. You're not a boss yet. And everyone who is a boss, don't say they're a boss. They just like do the work. Yeah. And again, that might be a personal thing and a judgment on my part. Not everyone's going to look at people the same way. But to me, that's the way I look at a lot of people when I see them stuff in their bio that they haven't done. Yeah. There's a person that, not going to mention a name, but there's a person who in their bio, they have like international actor, model, brand ambassador, all this stuff. This person don't do none of that shit, yeah? But this person has all that in their bio. And I'm always looking just like, it makes like, you're enough without that. Like, you're doing whatever you're doing, yeah? Like, just say that's what you're doing. Because that's enough. Like, that's enough to get the respect. I feel like you lose respect when you're saying things that you're not. Like, it's always undersell, over deliver. Like, that's the way it always should be. Yeah. And every time you kind of go in a different way from that, it just looks, to me, I'm like, nah, you're doing too much, man. You don't have to do that. And I just feel like it's such a crowded space. Everyone's trying to be something. But off mic, when I was talking about Daya, everyone was trying to be something. She was sitting there reading. She was already something, man. And that stood out over everybody. And that's the bit. It's like, no, just be yourself. Tell me what you really do. Then we can really work. And important for yourself as well. When I told you about, like, when I was in my dark space, one of the issues I had was I was telling people that I was successful. I was telling people that I was this person, but I really wasn't that person. Like, I was broke, I was unhappy, like, I just wasn't I wasn't the person who I was saying I was. And I remember there's a Drake line, you know it's real when you are who you say, or no, you know it's real when you are who you think you are. And I remember just hearing that, and I think I was at a point where I was there, and I remember just going, yes, like, that's the feeling I always wanted. But if I had just gone from that point and just really was really honest with it, I probably would have been in a much better place where I could just say, yeah, man, I'm really down. I'm in a really down place, and this is the way it is. And I did write a song called Falling. I got a song called Falling, but an old song called Falling, where I was really just breaking it down. I felt it was like 2010 or something, where I was just kind of really being honest with where I was, and it just not feeling great. But now I'm in a place where all the things I wanted then, I got to. I'm here, and even though I've got way other places I'm trying to get to, it feels good here because it's like, nah, you know what? I understand what it takes to get the things that you really want. I know what it feels like to have the vision board and then take the vision board down because you have all the things and then start a new vision board. And I feel like that's way more important than just trying to say like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the best, I'm that. All right, cool, whatever, man.
That's inspirational. So what is the vision board for fulfillment in the future? So let's say, for you to feel fulfilled in the future, what do you need to tick off or to rip down from that vision board?
To be fair, it's really just building on what I've got already, and just doing more of it. And it's kind of like what I've done for the past decade anyway, man. It's always been like slow progression.
Yeah.
I think the difference now is I'm a lot more open to help, and I guess in a true sense, like what humble really means, I understand that better as well. Because what humble really means is when you understand, I don't have all the answers, man. So I'm gonna need some help from certain people, and I'm in a position where I don't feel bad to ask for help and say, yo, I'm trying to get to here, and you've got something that I know can help me get there. I've got something I know can help you get to where you're going to get to. So let's work together. Like the quote is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I've been going alone for ages, and I've been moving quick. I've been doing what I wanted to do, putting out, like I said, 53 songs. That's cool. I was moving like real fast. But if we want to get to this next place, it's a whole different strategy. A whole different strategy is needed. So
what is the next place?
The next place is it's kind of the numbers game, man. Like just everything bigger than it is. Like more streams, more views. It's almost like I would say there's two sides to the game, yeah. So there's the back end, which is like the bit where it's kind of like the money part. So it's like, what's the bit where you feed your family with? And what's the ticket sales look like? What's the merch sales look like? All this kind of stuff, right? Because that's really what you kind of do it for. Unfortunately, there's the hype side of things, which is like the social proof, which does help this bit as well. So I've been not that great with that side of things because for whatever reason, because I'll tell you what I've always been like, you might have got numbers, but you ain't got no money, so I don't care. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, you kind of need the numbers too, bro. Like, because it's going to help what you're trying to do. There's no point not having that element of it. But with that element, you just need more people. You need to build more relationships. You need to be out the house. You need to do more. And that's just kind of the place I've been. I came from the underground UK hip hop scene where the ethos was always fuck the industry. Okay, that's cool. Fuck the industry. Then we kind of wondered why the industry never fucked with us. Because you're saying fuck the industry, like you're not going to get Christmas cards, are you? Because in the position you're in. So it gets to a point where you have to kind of grow up and go, oh, wait a minute. Why am I even saying fuck the industry? I'm just saying it because they said it. Like, why were you? I don't even know what the issue is. And as you get older, you realize, nah, man, like it's a symbiotic relationship. Like you do what you do, they do what they do. You work together, and you reach out for a higher achievement, and that's part of where I'm trying to go to.
With that in mind, so the whole independent label kind of argument, and obviously you're very much independent. So moving into the future, what are you kind of leaning towards, and what are the reasons for that?
I'd say the majority of what I do, I'll stay independent with it because I know how it works, and I know it's a lot of stuff. Ownership is really important to me.
Yeah.
So having ownership of what I do is super important, and for someone to take a piece of it, you have to really have something to offer for it to be beneficial to both of us. Because like I say, this stuff is forever. Like one day I'll be gone. When I'm gone, it goes to my kids. When they're gone, it goes to their kids. You know what I mean? So having ownership over those kind of things is really important. But at the same time, 100% of nothing is nothing. So you kind of got to make sure that it is worth something. People talk all the time, I own my masters. Okay. Like, what do your masters do? Like, what's your publishing deal? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing with your publishing? If you're doing nothing with it, then who cares? So it's trying to figure out, like, what's the balance? Where's the balance where I'm protected, my investment's protected, and your investment's protected, and we are really working together to do what we want to do. And I've seen people do it the other way. I'm not like I had a meeting the other day, and they were like, do you want to get signed? And I was just like, yeah, I do want to get signed, but it has to be the correct deal. It has to be right. It can't be like the deals that you offer these up and coming artists, because to me, it's almost like an insult when you say, yo, we're going to give you 30 grand for an album. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's not going to do it for me. So, but I get it from their point of view as well, because the profit margins are so small. But this is another thing. Because I'm independent, my profit margins ain't the same as the label's profit margins. So it means I can do way less and make the same as these artists that are doing like big numbers. And I feel like part of that is something that's kind of pissed me off for a lot of years as well. Because I've been like, it's almost like you see these guys and they've got crazy views. It looks good because they've got the label money behind them. It looks all shiny. But once that's broken down and they get their cut, my little tiny views that I did, I ended up with the same what they did. But everyone's like, that guy's amazing. I'm like I'm over here like really doing it. And part of what I do is like, I'm trying to show other artists as well. You don't have to have like millions of fans. Like if you got 1,000 diehard fans, you're sorted. Like, and even when I say sorted, I don't mean sorted is in what some of these guys make, but you can still do some really big stuff. Like, so one of the projects I'm doing this year is my first album. I'm re-releasing it on vinyl, and we're doing a bundle, and it's we're only going to do 1,000 of them, £100 each. So it's like 100 grand. That's what the project's going to be. People are ready. There's over 1,000 people that have messaged me like, yo, when that drops, I need that. Like, I want that. And obviously, if 2,000 people holler at you, 50%, that means like 500 people are actually gonna buy it. But at the same time, it just shows you, okay, that's there. That's only 1,000 people. That's only 500 people. Say I don't hit all the way and I only do 500. All right, we're still good. Like compared to what the labels are offering me now. So it's just kind of really understanding like where you fit. How does the game work? What can you do in it? And what do you want to give? Again, it's like, how much of yourself do you want to give to these people? When I first started in the game, I was offered deals where it'd be, we're going to take 90%, you take 10%. And at the time, that was wild to me that you would even offer that to me. That was like a crazy insult. Like, what? You're going to give me 10%? No, I was selling CDs on the street. I made 60 grand selling CDs on the street. So again, what you offering me? You can't offer me like your 10%. It don't mean nothing to me. So again, I'm just trying to show artists there's other ways to do things, man.
The £100, how much of that's influenced by Nipsey? Because that was the exact price, wasn't it? It was $100. Because I remember that like Jay-Z cop like 5, didn't he? And they're worth like God knows how much now. And
I thought his was more. I thought he did that.
Maybe it was 1,000.
I think he did 1,000.
Maybe he did both. I'm sure I remember 100, so maybe he did both. But
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's
No, you're right. I think he did do 100 before, then he did 1,000 after. I might do 1,000 after as well. Like, again, I think part of the problem that I learned. So when I first started like pricing things, as an independent artist, like hoodies are like a hard thing to price because you go from how much would I pay for something.
Yeah.
Well, I was broke at the time. I ain't paying shit. I mean, so it's hard to price it. You got to price things for who your audience are going to be and what they want to, how they want to support. And a lot of times, what you find is it ain't even really about the merch. It's about you. They're buying into you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I used to sell CDs on the street. They didn't hear the music. I had the CD in my hand. I said, "Yo, I rap. You like hip hop music? You want to check out my CD?" They never heard me before. They just like me.
Yeah.
They don't buy the CD. They buy into you.
Yeah, people buy people, right?
That's it. And then when they hear it, they're like, "Oh, okay, that's all right, isn't it?" And to this day, man, we're in 2022. I ain't sold a CD on the road since 2007. And people message me every day. "Yo, man, I remember, man, buying your CD. I was in Leicester Square. I was in Manchester. I was in Birmingham. I bought your CD." Like every single day. So it has an effect. And again, that's part of the being in this game for so long. I understand that the stuff I'm doing today, it might not hit to another 20 years. Like it might not do what I think it's gonna do till then. And that's the way I do it, man. I just think about the future and just enjoy the present.
Amazing. So to tie up, you referenced 20 years then. So let's use that as a time guideline. What do you want to say to yourself in 20 years' time to tie the episode up?
Me now talking to myself in 20 years?
Correct.
I don't even know if I'm even qualified to do that. Because I feel like the same way the younger me can tell me what to do, like I can't tell the older me how he's going to be and what he's going to think. I think he has way more to tell me. But
let's flip the question then. Where do you hope you are in 20 years, and what sort of a person do you hope you are in 20 years rewatching this?
I just hope I did what I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
Executing, like just the talking has never been one of my fears. Is always saying something and not doing it, not following through.
Yeah.
So that's always like one of my biggest fears, which is why I'm so like a lot of stuff. That's why I tweet a lot, because a lot of it is like it's almost like accountability. Like you're putting
I agree. Yeah.
Someone gonna say, "Yeah, what about that? Did you do that?" And that's how I kind of hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
So I just hope that the stuff I was speaking about, I actually did it. I think one of the things I've learned is it does take longer than you think for a lot of things, but some things they come a lot faster than you think they're gonna take. So it's just doing, man. You have to execute. You got to try and move forward. One of the things I always say is like you don't know what's around the corner, but you got to walk to that corner. Then you can see it. Then you see something. Oh wow! Then you walk to the next corner. But you got to take those steps. And as long as you take those steps, then you're going to keep moving forward. I feel like a lot of people, they're waiting for things. Like they're waiting. We live in this kind of this age. Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, because we've got hustle culture on one side. That's like work every single hour. Like never sleep, work till you die, yeah? Which people say, but I don't think a lot of people really do it.
No.
But on the flip side of that, we got this other thing where it's like, yeah, man, you just need to do a vision board and manifest and hold some crystals and it will come to you. And it's like, no, you're not. Those aren't the things. Like there's a balance within that.
Yeah.
And it's about just working slowly towards the stuff you want. Years ago, this guy said, if you want to achieve something, just do one thing every day that puts you a step towards that. And since I've heard that, I think I was probably maybe 17, 18 at the time. I've done that every day. So there's never a day where I don't do one thing, whether it's an email, whether it's a message to someone, whether it was writing rhymes at one point. Like there's always going to be one thing I'm going to do every day that just gets me one step closer to where I want to get to. And so far it's been working out.
Facts. What an episode. So I have to ask the final two questions.
Cool.
So who do you nominate firstly to come on?
Who do I nominate, man? I'm trying to think, man. Trying to think of like if there's anyone like older than me that's been doing it for a while that I feel like
that would be really interesting.
Has lessons that need, but then I'm thinking, would they can I get hold of them? I think, tell you who would be a good person to talk to you. Skinny Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I feel like this game has come so far, and there's not many people, if not Skinny Man, then Blade. Like, there's not many people that have seen the whole.
Blade Brown, you're talking about?
Nah,
Oh,
it's
no.
other guy, Blade, who started like rapping back in the day,
Okay.
like with a guy called Mark B. Like, these are people that have seen the industry start from nothing
And
be where it is now. So they have like a real interesting perspective. But yeah, Skinny Man might be a cool one to talk to, because I guess he's like still making music and still doing shows and stuff like that. Yeah.
Sick. Let's see if we can make it happen. And so finally, within the industry, what do you think is like an unanswered question or a topic that you want more light to be shed on?
I think the obvious one is, how much is a stream worth, man?
Okay. It's a good answer.
People still don't know that. People still don't know the value of a stream. We know we're not getting paid what we should be paid per stream, but we don't know how much we should be paid. So I think that's an important side of the industry.
Agreed. See if we can look into it.
Yeah, we know we're getting fucked. We just don't know how bad. Like, we just don't know like
the extent.
Yeah, the extent of it, man. But yeah, it's a bit of a mad one. But it's something I
You'd like to look into.
Yeah, because they keep talking about they're gonna raise it. They're gonna try and get the streaming cost up to like half a penny or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that'd be cool. But like, it's super weird when you think about someone like me, who my money doesn't come from streaming. My money comes from merch sales, shows, licensing, publishing, that kind of stuff, right? But it's like, if streaming paid what it should pay, really, I'd be making bucks off, you know what I mean? Like, making serious money just from streaming as well, from sales in that side of things. So it's like, it's in artists' interest
100%
to figure out like, yo, where's this bread coming from? What's it doing? How much are these companies making from us? Because we know they're making crazy amounts. Like, yeah, where's our cut, man?
Sick. Good answer, and one that we'll look into. So yeah, for me, honestly, what a conversation. I can't think of anyone that has watched this all the way through that won't have enjoyed it and won't have taken at least one gem from it. So genuinely, thank you for your time, for the wisdom, for the insight. But yeah, how have you found it?
It's cool, bruv. I love your way of interviewing, man. I think it's like it's so natural, and because I've done like I said, I had my little show in lockdown, so I know when like someone says something and I'm trying to think, what do I say next? Like, where do I go from there? So there's so many ways you can go with it, but you always take it to like the place I always feel the listener wants to go with it, because like everyone you interview, I'm listening, I'm like, I want to know more about that. And you're going, so what about, bro? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I wanted to know. Like, it's sick. And so yeah, the two that I've watched, the Chloe one was cool as well, yeah, because like me and Chloe, we've only been talking like for a year and a bit. So our kind of like professional relationship. So even though we talk, I don't know a lot about her. I know what she does, but not about her. So then watching the interview was like, oh, that's sick. And it's so funny because I watched the Molly May interview all the way through. Then I watched that one, and I was like, there's a lot of similarities, man. Like, just as in like a powerful, like someone who's like really driven, and who's like, in my mind, I always think like, whatever she wants out of life, she's gonna get it. Just the way her mind works, man. And yeah, it's cool to see, man. I think that makes, as far as like you building this platform, that's the bit you need. Like, you're the foundation of it for it to grow, because that's the part that people can see me be interviewed anywhere, but no one's gonna ask the questions you're asking. I go through a million interviews where it's just, so why are you called Genesis? And it's like, oh, that's cool, but there's other stuff. There's loads of other things that you can ask. So even like talking about my parents and stuff like that, I don't think I've ever done an interview talking about my parents in that way, especially not how me being my childhood reflects on my adulthood and how that translates into music and how that translates into business. Like, I've never done it in an interview, so yeah, it's heavy, man.
Thank you, bro.
Sick.
Thank you. What a fucking episode. Oh my God.